traditional owners and ancestors of the land on which we are now gathered. Pay my respects to the elders of both past and present. The Noosa Residents and Ratepayers Association, Noosaville Business Association, Friends of Noosa, and our own Chamber of Commerce Vice President Sarah Fisher. They've all put in a massive amount of work to pull this event together tonight in a really short time, let me tell you. I'd also like to thank our generous sponsors tonight who are featured on the back wall, which should be in a moment, and on the back of your information sheets also. Without whose help, with promotion, furniture and prizes, we would not achieve what you see here tonight. A little bit of housekeeping before we do start. Toilets are at the back of the room over here. We have fire exits on that side of the room, over the back here, and of course front doors. If there's a fire, just follow me and we'll run for our lives, okay? Could I also ask please at this moment that if you have a mobile phone, could you please turn it off? We'd appreciate it, thank you very much. I know it's easy to forget, but it is a bit distracting when they get go off. Thank you. I'd also like to add that we have put together this forum tonight with no bias to any candidate. We have put this on for all of the community with the hope that you all will be as well informed as possible so that you can make the best possible decision as who you vote for. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another chapter in the history of Noosa. Isn't it fantastic to see the community come together? Fantastic. Here we have 4 different community groups working together to pull this together. It encourages me, for I'm of the firm belief that the process of de-amalgamation has brought everybody in Noosa closer together with one common thread. We all want what's best for Noosa. Would you agree? I genuinely hope that the spirit currently being displayed in the community, not only with these groups, but with the broader community in general, continues far into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight the respective candidates get their time to tell us who they are and what they stand for. As I said to people last week, it could be looked upon as a job interview. Shareholders, you. Company directors, them. So, after all, the council is really just the same as a large company, and in my mind, should be treated as such. So listen closely tonight and choose your candidates wisely. The eyes of Australia are upon us as a community. It is our chance to shine and show what can be achieved when everyone in the community pulls together for one common cause. It should not stop after the election. We must all continue to work together with Council to achieve the best outcomes possible for Noosa. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd expect nothing less than for everyone tonight to show total respect and decorum for all the candidates and each other during tonight's forum, please. I also must insist that because of time restraints, the only people that are eligible to vote ask any questions from the floor. Thank you. We are particularly pleased tonight to have Mike Taylor to facilitate the candidates segment tonight. Mike retired to Noosa in 1999. Since then, he spent many happy hours serving on community committees, including, there's a list, Environment Community Sector Board as Chairman, Noosa Parks Association as Vice President, Noosa Residents and Ratepayers Association President and Life Member, Noosa Biosphere Governance Board. Mike came to the foundation became a foundation member of Friends of Noosa Committee in 2007. Since then, his focus has been on achieving de-amalgamation. After 5 long years, it was achieved, and here we are all tonight. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, without any further ado, I'd like to hand the proceedings over to our facilitator, Mr. Mike Taylor.
I hasten to add that I was only a member of the Friends of Noosa team led by Jim Barado and Bob Ansett. I didn't achieve the amalgamation single-handed. Now, probably everybody in this room is passionate about Noosa, so the purpose of this session is to bring out the differences between the candidates, as well as identifying where they agree. Where we're going to start with is presentations from the candidates. Okay, they're going to talk to you, give you a 2-minute spiel. It's great to have so many candidates here, and that makes it crucial that all of you are brief and to the point. So each of you will have 2 minutes to set out what you bring to the job and how you would do it. A warning bell will sound at 90 seconds, then you will be terminated by another bell at 2 minutes. You will be called in alphabetical order of surnames. The question session to follow will be in random order. So it's over to you, Bob Abbott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Carl, for the traditional owners recognition as well. Folks, on the 1st of January this year, the Noosa Council will be reborn. On or about February or March the following year, it will be 100 years old. Except for the 5 to 10 months, 5 to 6 years that we've had this hiatus, we will be 100 years, 1 century of self-determination, and that's where we're going back. I say to you, this is a unique election, ladies and gentlemen. Unique in the sense it's only for a 2-year term, so we've really got some hard work to do. Unique in the sense that that for the first time in living memory, you get to vote for all of the people here. You get to vote for the whole council. You get to vote to set the scene on what your council will look like and how they'll work in the next 2 years. Not just your mayor and your divisional councils like the past, the whole council. That's really important for you to remember. So folks, my challenge for you tonight is to do the homework. To get in there and do the things that you need to do to understand what each of these individual candidates is promising. Listen to what they say tonight, have a look in your sample bag when you go home, listen to the radio, read the paper, go on the net, do all those things, look at the form guides. Just make sure you know who it is that you're voting for and what they are capable of doing for you in the next 2 years. Because it'll be critical if we don't, in the next 2 years, build a foundation in our council that we can rely on in the future and a board to jump off in the end, then we're in big trouble. What can I do? Why am I standing? Simple. I've had 30 years of blood, sweat and tears in this place, and I've been heavily responsible in what it looks like and feels like. So I'm really investing myself, my knowledge, my knowledge, my experience and my networks into your future. My experience would bring a steady hand into this council, into its deliberations, and a warm heart in the community. With my knowledge, I deliver a council, good council, in this new council. But I'll say to you folks, on the 9th of November, it's down to you. On the 9th of November, you need to pick the best team that you possibly can to give you the future that you can deserve.
Thank you, Bob. I thought for a minute you'd done that before. So it's over to Mike Barry now, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been coming to Noosa now for 70-odd years, and I, like everybody else in this room, are very passionate about it. And I'm a bit concerned about a few things that have been occurring in the area, or not occurring more to the point, and it's the general upkeep of all the facilities within Noosa. The roads, I feel, probably all of you have driven out the Mundy Road, which I feel is terrible, and there are several other terrible roads in and around it. They need attention. Now, we need a new council that can either arrange for this to be done through its own finances or get to the government, the state government, and put the pressure on them to do so. The other things that they're doing, we need attention to Noosa National Park. I feel as it's slid down the scale a little bit. Not council problem, but council should address it. The other area, of course, is the general river situation which I feel needs also to be looked at. The mouth of the river has always caused a problem and is still causing a problem. I think council should have another look at that. So the other important issue, and I've spoken to a lot of people, is the imposition on Noosa of the North Shore helicopter pad. And this seems to be one of the big problems, where helicopters are flying over at the night time and people are not very happy with that. So we need to address that as a council. So
Time's up, Mike.
not so much as a community, as a council. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Good night, Sandy Bond.
Mr. Chairman. Can everybody hear me? Yes? Okay, fantastic. We have some challenges going forward. Those challenges are to ensure we deliver the basics: sound financial services, infrastructure management and services, which are the things that you have been asking for. As well, common sense, efficiency and solutions with excellent customer service. We need increased consultation so you all can have a say in the matters that are about your communities. How do I know this? 20 years in your communities and working for local business. As well, over the last 5 weeks, I've spoken to 4,000 residents, and ultimately all of their concerns come down to those three basics. My skill set, I have a broad range and I've worked in a variety of industries, but corporate governance, human resources, volunteer management, strategic planning are just some. I've held qualifications as a workplace trainer and assessor, a workplace rehabilitator, and risk management and modernising committee performance. Currently I am trying to do my MBA in hospitality and tourism, but that's been getting more and more difficult. What do I want for Noosa? A balanced, fair council with excellent customer or resident service, solutions to your concerns. I want to give everybody a voice, better transparency in decision making, to support the basics as outlined of financial, to promote our strengths so that we have a sound future, and foster a working relationship across the three tiers of government. So how will I do that? As your councillor, because I really do genuinely care about you, the people of Noosa and Noosa. I will listen, I will act, and I will deliver. And together we will achieve.
Thank you. And good evening to everybody. Half of all businesses fail because they fail to plan. And frankly, I don't think it's any different with a council. And what a council is doing is planning on your behalf. So a council must engage with you, the community, and it must first listen to what you, the community, want. I've spent the better part of 35 years helping companies plan. I built, or helped build, and ran one of the largest independent communication companies in Brisbane. I helped a large number of organisations build their brands and build their businesses. And the way that we did that was by making good decisions. And from January 1, this council must make good decisions. If it doesn't, you are the ones who will be suffering as a result. And I agree with what has been said already. On the 9th of November, the most crucial thing is that you elect a council that has the right balance of skills, the right people to bring to that council the capacity to make decisions that will reward you, not penalise you. And let's not make any mistakes. And let's not forget that mistakes have been made in the past. It is important that we set a very clear vision of what the future Noosa looks like. You are the main people to establish what that vision should look like. It's then up to a council to have the right framework and the right strategies to implement on your behalf to get it right. I don't want to see any more mistakes like Kim Quarry. I don't want to see any more mistakes or possible mistakes like Lake Waver. And I really believe it is beholden upon everybody in this room to think very carefully about who you elect to your council. Thank you.
Thank you. Some of you are looking for executive experience. At 30, I was the vice president, and 34, an executive director of the world's second largest investment bank, Morgan Stanley, with a sales and trading team of 32 in 3 countries and a yearly revenue target of $95 million. I also have small business experience, as my wife Danielle has owned and managed the Wasabi restaurant for 10 years. I will focus my financial skills to help deliver a back-to-basics budget and restructure the debt we inherit. Some of you are looking for candidates who participated in the Free Noosa campaign. I joined both Bob Anson's Friends of Noosa committee and Noel Playford's Noosa Independence Alliance almost 3 years ago, and was the person who coined the phrase Free Noosa. And some of you want to know what community groups each of us has been involved with. I've been on the Noosa Tourism Marketing Committee for over 2 years, and have written the It's Your Money column of the Noosa News for 3. Now, the first order of business is getting our financial house in order and minimizing any rate increases by controlling council spending. We must get that right. I want to pull the whole Shire together with fun and yes, maybe old-fashioned events for the whole family, designed to put a little fun back in our community and our lives. Perhaps like a Shire-wide Olympics to coincide with the Noosa show weekend. Just imagine a tug of war with Kin and Pomona team against Sunshine Beach. Perhaps a milk carton boat race in front of the yacht club. I want non-profit groups and sporting clubs to be able to nominate to maintain a park. And if maintained properly, the maintenance cost is paid directly to those organizations. Your rates get recycled back to those that need it most and do the most for the community. On the environment front, we need to stand up and walk the walk. For me, that means recycling bills next to all public bins. Push hard to get rid of the large and usually empty buses polluting our residential neighborhoods and tearing up our roads, and push to ban plastic bags. Now, throughout the campaign, you've heard phrases like expand and diversify the economy and foster innovation, so you need to ask, how will we do that? You deserve more than just words, so I encourage you tonight to explain our plan behind our words. Thank you.
Don't let these glasses fool you, okay? 31 years of age, that's me. Prior to this, I was an engineer for Moreton Bay Shire Council, managing a $12 million divisional works budget. Prior to this, I worked in Dubai, UAE, working as a section engineer on a $2.5 billion project. Before that, I worked for Wally Parsons, the 3rd largest engineering firm in the world. And before that, I grew up in Noosa. I'm born and bred in Tawantin, okay? My policy is I want jobs, but at zero cost to the environment, okay? I want my kids, when I'm lucky enough to have that, to be able to grow up like I did here. And at unemployment at just under 7%, I simply want jobs, but at zero cost to the environment. I have 34 years left of my working career. God willing, every day above ground's a good day, I want to spend that in council for Noosa. I understand all these guys have made really valid points, very valid points, but I have the energy, the enthusiasm and the local knowledge to create this. So I think I know that Noosa Council should be evolving consistently, like with the times, of course. So next year, January 1, voting November 9, we have our first chance at, like Bob said, voting in the complete council from A to Z. Mayor, 6 councillors. I want to create jobs at zero cost to the environment. I want to see the whole of Noosa incorporated into what we call a community. So I vote my way for the youngest. Don't let the glasses fool you. I'm 31, not 41. But also 31 is not that young. I think I'm a man in a child's body really, but I have the passion and the energy to do this, okay? So please, Think wisely. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Darlene Gower. I've grown up here in the Noosa Shire. I went to school here. I married a local lad 25 years ago, and we now live at Sunrise Beach with our 2 children. Since school, I have lived and worked locally and been a part of many sporting and community groups. I am a proud member of the Noosa Parks Association and have volunteered many hours over the years to help ensure the very essence of our lifestyle, the environment, is protected. The environment always has been and will continue to be our economic future. We had a close call with amalgamation, and it's time to restore the values that Noosa people nearly lost. I have worked in the tourism industry here in Noosa most of my life, promoting our assets. I understand intimately what sets us apart from other destinations around Australia. In practical terms, a new council will need to ensure our Noosa plan is updated and strengthened. It will need to safeguard Noosa from inappropriate development. It will need to engage the community, support local business, and restore services that have been eroded since amalgamation. I'm standing here today because Noosa is in my blood. I've put my hand up to be a worker in this process of rebuilding our council. I've never been afraid of hard work, and I won't make promises I can't keep, but I will do my very best to represent the community. So if community, lifestyle, and the environment are as important to you as they are to me, I hope you'll consider me when casting your vote. Thank you.
Second bell. Okay, over to you, Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And thank you all for coming. And it's a great opportunity to present my credentials and reasons why I think you should vote for me. Initially, I think there's 4 platforms that I would focus and concentrate on if given the opportunity by you and be elected. And they are mainly setting the financial foundation, the financial foundations for the next 2 years. We're only getting voted in for 2 years. So we need to set that a strong foundation and a clever and affordable budget going forward. Secondly, services to the entire region of the Noosa Shire, not just to the more populous areas, but to the entire region. Thirdly, the Noosa plan, it needs to be supported and maintained. It's the reason why a lot of us are here. It's not broke, doesn't need fixing. And fourthly, we need to drive tourism and small business. They're both intimately entwined. They both depend on each other. Without tourism, we don't have a Noosa. Without thriving small business, we don't have a community. We need to push small businesses and sell the buy local tag and send that tourism Noosa label over. We've already got a global market, but it can be increased. Why vote for me? Marie and I have been long-term residents here for nearly 20 years. We've brought our 3 children up here. We now between us have both our parents and collectively 5 brothers and sisters with their children and grandchildren living here. But more importantly, I'm totally independent. I'm not aligned with any political party, any other candidates. I'm here as an independent voice asking for your vote on the Noosa Council. I respectfully ask you to vote for me, and I can represent you as an independent voice on the Noosa Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
My name's Bob Jarvis. I've been a small business operator, resident, sportsman and family man for nearly 30 years in Noosa. I'm standing to represent them. I've got a few real main policies that I want to bring up. One of them is I really think we should have no fluoride in our water, now or never. I really believe we should never allow coal seam gas exploration in our shire. I mean, if we pollute our water, our underground water, you can't pull a plug and let it out. So we don't want any coal seam exploration in our shire. One of the other policies is to get the surf lifesavers back under the control of council. They're now under the control of the state body, and bigger is not better, as we've already realised when we amalgamated with the Southern Shire. Big is not necessarily better. The other thing I think we seem to forget about in Noosa is our ageing population. I think our seniors need more help, not less help from the government departments. My last policy is I'll really try and stop the civil war that seems to be going on over the biosphere. I just hope that people will give me a fair go. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joe Jarusovic, and welcome to Speed Dating Noosa Style. Look, I've lived in Toowong for 13 years. My wife and I and our newborn baby Adam moved here to start a business. We started a small business as Berry Juice Distributor 13 years ago. Ran that very successfully for 5 years, sold it on, and 6 years ago started another small business venture called Joe the Handyman. So hence you might understand a handyman to have on council. It's all my own work, it's all I write on my own life.
That's obvious.
Thanks, mate. You might ask why I'm standing. Well, I remember a day back on August the 3rd in 2007 when I'm sure most of this room hopped on a bus and drove down to Brisbane and marched on State Parliament to tell Peter Beattie why we did not believe in amalgamation. Hands raised. Proudly so. That day changed my life forever. And from that day on, I vowed that if that amalgamation happened, that I'd stand for a council if we ever got our de-amalgamated council back. So I stand before you as a committed councillor that's been committed for a long time and probably should be committed to standing. But since we've regained our voice, the community's been asking for new faces ready to face that challenge. I've continually been asked by members of the community to stand. And what do I bring to the council? Well, I bring a proven track record of working for the entire Noosa community. I'm the only candidate actively engaged with community organisations in the arts, sport, environment, community and youth. And that gives me a well-rounded understanding of the needs of our community. I've been the Clean Up Australia Day coordinator for 4 years, and I actively campaign against illegal dumping and waste management practices. That led me to see the disgrace at the main roads and let our promoter truck stop become. And I actively championed that cause with main roads. We've had that cleaned up as a result of the work that I've done. What do I bring to the future? That same commitment that I've given to the community over the last 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. You know, as far as I can see, Paul Lowe and Janine Maxwell-Jones are not here. So it's over to you, Peter McGregor.
Okay, my name is Peter McGregor and I need your vote. I'm a former Noosa councillor. I'm also a senior sergeant of police attached to the Sunshine Coast District as a district duty officer. I've been a copper for 39 years and people ask me what my expertise is. Well, my expertise is people. What do I particularly skill? Well, my particular skill is communicating with those people. I've been doing it a long, long time. I've been a local resident of Noosa for the past 18 years. I'm a life member of the Noosa Pirates Rugby League Club and I'm also a foundation member of the Quiet Achievers for Charity. I have been out and about and I've spoken to the grassroots residents of our community and I've listened to them. And they're telling me things and they're very concerned that rates will go up. They want council to put in place provisions that rates will not go up in that first 12 months. They want council to be responsible in the manner in which they do their business, and they want council to be responsible in their financial management and in the decisions that make in the future which directly affect the community. I would also support and encourage local businesses and local industries, especially the tourism industry. If those industries flourish, then the whole community flourishes. I'm a person with balanced views. I make informed decisions based on common sense, what is the interest of the community, and also what the benefit is to the community. I have proven previously before that I will listen to you, I will talk to you, I will respond to you, and I will represent you. I too am a total independent. I too have no affiliation with any group, party, association or organisation. I work for the whole community, and I trust that you can see that and vote for me in the future. Thank you.
You can go.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, welcome here tonight, folks. Frank Pardon. I've been in this shire over 30 years. I was the Deputy Mayor and a very proud councillor in Noosa when we were forced amalgamated. I'll just tell you a little story quickly about that amalgamation and why we fought so hard to keep our planning scheme and our integrity of our shire. And the story is this: Bob Abbott, our mayor, was in Noosa Hospital over here, and we had to march on Brisbane the next day, and I went over and saw him. He climbed off his hospital bed to go down in the morning to lobby the state government to leave us independent and leave us alone. I ended up on the Koshy show, the morning show with Mel and Kosh, and the idea of that was I stood there at Kangaroo Point with the bush behind me, the cameras on me, and so as I relayed it to Mel and Kosh, they asked us, of course, they're city slickers, why not join the Sunshine Coast as a council? And with the camera on me, on the bush, then I swung it over to Brisbane City. And I said, this is how we are now with the bush, and that's what we don't want to be. And that was the skyscrapers over Brisbane City. So we fought as hard as we could. At the end of the day, why I probably didn't continue, I was exhausted. Bob, to his credit, went on. So going forward from there, I've got to getting old here. That's on, mate. I have an economic plan for Noosa to keep the rates low, and that's not idle talk. We have businesses in Noosa the council owns, and I worked on that business portfolio. Support small business. I am a small businessman. Most people know me as the Banana Man in the Noosa Farmers Market, which I proudly financed and work there every Sunday. You can see me there. Bring back the annual curbside clean-up and Noosa planning scheme that underpins us and makes the difference. The biosphere, respect the democratic process, and ban net fishing on the Noosa North Shore because they're cleaning all the fish out and it's just not right.
It's time.
Thank you.
Not here either. Looks like Brian Stockwell behind the foliage there.
Thank you, Mike. I'm not a member of the NPA, but just as India has Gandhi, Noosa has Dr. Arthur Harrod. To me, when I was young, he was a mentor. He's one of the most venerated local heroes. It was the late 1970s when I came down over that hill at Mount Timbiwa and I saw those sweeping, magnificent coastal plains, the waves against the rocky headlands. I didn't find the combi that I was looking for, I found a home. So it's the thousands of volunteers from NPA, from Noosa Landcare, from NICA and groups like it that I have to thank, that every time I come over that hill, I take a breath and I look at the glistening waters of the best river in southeast Queensland and the low-rise development nested between a national park and the North Shore. As a driver for the startup of Noosa Landcare, Noosa, Mary and Lake McDonald catchment groups, I've led programs that have managed and rehabilitated our landscapes and our waterways for 30 years. I've helped the Noosa Council, the Kalula Council and many community groups, or a number of community groups, win state and national awards. I was a Noosa councillor in 27. In that term, we reduced the height limit in Noosa from 6 stories to 4 stories, and we reduced the rate debt by 23% in every rate dollar. I personally moved motions that stopped the motorway on the eastern side of Lake Waiba to let that become a national park, to stop the planned sewage ocean outfall, to start recycling and koala research. It was me who first brought all the stakeholders groups together to start the Noosa tracks and trail systems. But I'm not anti-development. I'm pro Noosa-style sustainable development. And in my division, we had more development approved than the previous term, and he was a real estate agent.
You wind up with it.
So I ask you, it's not about the past, it's about the future, and let's do it together.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Gary Trevithick. I want to build a strong and viable council, one that protects our unique values and lifestyles. The Mayor and councillors should act like a board of directors, agree the vision, set the objectives and policies and budget, and then ensure the council officers deliver. The immediate challenges facing the new council are finalising a realistic budget, addressing urgent capital needs, developing a responsive organisational structure, appointing a CEO, and very importantly, considering the draft planning scheme that has been prepared and will replace the Noosa plan. I have worked in large businesses and also have a record of delivering successful outcomes for communities. I want to be involved in the economic development of our region that I love so much. I want to nurture businesses that respect our environment and our values. I will strive to harness your energy, your ideas and your innovation. I will put my energy, dedication and effort into serving all the residents of the region, not just my community. I commit to working full-time for you as your councillor. I am not aligned with any groups or any political party. For the reasons given, I believe that I can play a part in your new team of 6 councillors. My skill and experience will complement the other councillors. For me to be able to do this, though, you and your friends need to vote for me, Gary Trevithick. Thank you.
Tony Wellington.
Thanks, Mark. And thank you all very much for coming out this evening. Look, it may come as a bit of a shock to some of the candidates here, and no doubt to many of you, to learn that the Local Government Act expressly forbids councillors to instruct or direct staff. Hands up all those who weren't aware that councillors are not allowed to direct staff. Yeah, quite a few of you. So, how do councillors get things done? Councillors determine policy. They determine policy direction for the council. And policies, of course, require a majority vote. So no individual councillor can actually carry a policy on their own. They have to secure the majority of their comrades. If an issue comes up that requires immediate attention, say a resident rings a councillor and needs a road graded or something similar, then all the councillor can do is request that staff have a consideration of that matter. I repeat, we're not allowed to direct the staff. So this goes to the nub of what I'm trying to explain and what makes a good councillor. Plainly, the best councillor are those who will best serve the community, and in doing so have to establish a good working relationship with the staff. You don't want autocrats who are going to boss staff around, and you want people who are going to be able to communicate clearly. This election, as with all elections, is very much about credibility. I believe that over the last year and a half, I have demonstrated that I'm willing to work hard. I campaigned on a platform of listening and delivering, and I believe that I've worked hard to achieve that aim. I think I've also shown that I have the courage to stand up and fight for just causes and for our residents. But I've also demonstrated that in my ability to get things done over the last year and a half, I believe that I've earned the trust and respect of the council staff, because I personally couldn't be so effective at the job I do without their willingness to help. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. And at last, it's your turn, Frank.
Thank you. I present as the alphabetically challenged candidate, but I do offer experience and a robust health at age 50, relative youth, plus a diverse range of skills. Working as a journalist since 1996 in the Noosa Shire, I developed a deep appreciation of the sheer diversity of community groups here, their achievements, their objectives, and the challenges they face. It was there that I developed the habit of working face to face with people. It was there that I also became practiced with working with the 3 tiers of government, negotiating on behalf of others. I also reported on Noosa Council processes and decision making, and developed a deep appreciation for protecting Noosa's points of difference. I had the opportunity to put that experience and knowledge into action when I became a councillor in 2007-08, when Vivian Griffin resigned in a by-election. I have a proven track record of defending Noosa's town plan against inappropriate and overscale development on each and every occasion. It's not a guide. It is a contract between the council and you, the community, that certain types of development will only take place in certain areas. I saw myself as my role as protecting them. I have a proven track record of community consultation, working cooperatively with staff, councillors, because they represent your choices as well as with the community, face to face. I've also been heavily involved in a range of cultural, sporting and community groups. Noosa Long Weekend, Noosa Arts Theatre, Noosa Gymnastics Club, Bridge and Beach Community Association. I also was the coordinator of the Safe Bridge and Originals Alliance, which stopped the council from ripping that event away from that community, because sometimes you have to know when to push back. If you want a councillor who will meet you face to face, will defend Noosa's values, and has a range of affiliations, none of them political, servant to all, beholden to none, look for me right at the bottom of the ballot again, right at the bottom. Thank you.
Thank you all for keeping very closely to the 2-minute limit. That's very good. We now move to the questions session. To give everybody a fair go, this session will be divided into 3 parts. A show of hands questions, which will cover all candidates. Then I will ask questions based on the large number sent into the organisers. And there were so many questions we couldn't possibly ask them all, and if you sent one in you may notice it's been sort of merged into another one, but we've tried to cover the range. This will also involve all candidates, and finally I will ask for questions from the floor, so you are going to get a go. There will now be a short legal interlude while I make the following statement. In accordance with the practice of the former Noosa Council, I will not ask or accept questions relating to development applications where there is litigation or is to be consideration by the Noosa Council. For example, the Master Store, Noosa on Wyburn and Coles in Noosa Junction. Answers to such questions could prejudice the involvement of future councillors in these statutory processes because they have yet to receive professional advice from council staff. That was really interesting. So we now move to the show of hands. So if you basically the instructions are quite simple. If you want to say yes, put a hand up. And if you're a no or a don't know, then keep your hands down. And I'll do it fairly slowly, ask the questions slowly and clearly, and if you could keep your hands up for a little while, as your answer's going to be taken down and used in evidence against you. Okay, it's a nice straightforward one to start with. Should all council meetings, except where there are commercial in confidence issues, be open to the public?
What about legal issues?
All right, commercial or legal? Okay. Has the recorders recorded? As it was unanimous. I think it was unanimity. Are you dedicated to protection of the Noosa plan and hence the so-called population cap? Once again. Okay. Would you be a full-time councillor? Can you honestly say that you played a significant role in the campaign for de-amalgamation? Sorry, can you honestly say that you played a significant role in the campaign?
Excuse me.
You can take all those things into account. Given that this is a council for only 2 years, do you think this council should focus primarily on roads, rates and rubbish? I think I realise there's an issue with this. People are interested in it being done in this format, but if people want in the other session, in the session from the floor, to ask you to expand on it, then they can do that then. That's the best way of doing this. We've got to get through this quickly. It's been suggested that rate rises need not be more than 3.5%. Does this, or even less, seem like a reasonable target to you? That's unanimous, I think. Would you like to see less helicopter flights over Noosa? I need a couple more. Do you think that tourism will remain the mainstay of the Noosa economy? Okay. And finally, down to the nitty-gritty. Would you reinstate annual curbside pickups? That would be popular. I'll now move to the questions emailed into the organisers. Now clearly we can't ask every candidate to answer every question, otherwise we'd be here all night. And I was going to say I would direct questions to pairs of candidates except in one case, because 2 into 19 doesn't compute. But fortunately for me, there are only 16 people there, so there will be 8 pairs of questions. So the first question is directed to Bob Jarvis and Brian Stockwell. What limitations does state legislation place on councils? For example, does Noosa Council have the power to stop CSG exploration? Over to you, Bob.
I'm hoping that they do. We need to be very strong on it, and if this council doesn't want coal seam gas, I guess it's like the amalgamation question. I mean, we didn't want to be amalgamated with the Southern Council, and so I mean, and we now are de-amalgamated. So I mean, I'm not. I think the state government can tell you to exploit coal seam gas wherever they like, but I'd like to take a real strong stand against that as a council.
I can sit down? Okay, so state does approve CSG. State also has a bit of legislation, I think it's passed from being a bill, which allows areas to be cleared that it be free from CSG, and this is a result of the scenic rim disturbance. The key answer to this question is not whether the state or council has the power, because the power to stop any proposals like CSG rests with you, the community, and I'm sure we can do it.
Thank you, Brian. I did actually want to impose a 1 minute limit on the answers, but you both come in well under that, so that's excellent. Okay, moving to Alan Bonsall and Peter Yesland. Do you think that the Noosa Council could play a cost-effective role in creating jobs, or is this best left to the private sector? Depending on your answer, would you need to create council staff positions? So, Alan, you've got 1 minute.
I'm not sure that the simple answer is yes, the council must have a role. I think the council needs to lay a foundation and framework to be able to foster and encourage entrepreneurial thinking, innovative thinking. We need to be looking at opportunities to allow young people to get out there and start creating their own futures. So there is no doubt in my mind that the council has a role to play in creating jobs.
Well, would you think the council would need to employ extra staff to do that job?
The council has just been advised that it will receive 425 people, the equivalent, or sorry, 520 odd people for the equivalent of 425 jobs. I have absolutely no idea. I think the only person who will be able to answer that question at this point in time is Peter Franks. But I would hope that within those 425 people there would be the skill sets necessary to be able to create the right framework for us to be able to encourage private enterprise to create jobs.
Thank you.
I think we have to be realistic. I don't think council can just say, open the doors and say, yes, let's have new jobs. I think we can encourage jobs by making Noosa a better place to live. That people want to move here. And there's a variety of steps that I've got, if you want to look at my website for that. And that includes, having a strict budget so rates don't go up. People think this is a common sense council. As I said before, having a bit of fun. People think, wow, this is an engaging council that has a bit of fun with the community. Also a council that talks to the people first before they do any planning, so it's engaging. It's a lot closer with the community, tying everyone together. If we can put those pieces together, then people want to move here, and then they'll want to create new jobs. I don't think we certainly need to hire any new people. We have an incredible brain trust here in Noosa. We need to tap them. We have a lot of retired people with an incredible amount of work experience. Spend some time with the younger people who want to create new jobs. Let's lean on them and encourage them to help us.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next question is to Tony Wellington and Sandy Bolton. Do you see the biosphere playing a major role in tourism? If so, how would this work in practice, and how would that relate to Tourism Noosa? Tony? You go first then.
No? Oh yes, here we go. The biosphere offers endless opportunity. Within the tourism realm and with Tourism Noosa, it provides a branding, and this is just not for tourism but also for product and byproduct. When you think about the offerings of the types of tourism within the biosphere, we are talking about families that are able to travel up on the train, 52 weekends of the year, a variety of offerings, utilising the resources we have here. We have the Network Trail, that is a fantastic feature of our area, the beauty, the variety of trips, and you just think about the types of trips. We're talking 2 days, camp over, where people actually take you on a guided tour with the tents, with the food, to be able to not only appreciate what we have, but also educate. So yes, very much so.
Thank you. Tony?
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Look, the biosphere is a voluntary covenant. We make of it what we choose. My ideal is for greater community engagement within the biosphere governance, and to that end, a greater sense of ownership of the biosphere by the entire Noosa community. I don't believe that the biosphere has come anywhere near its potential, and its potential is not just in terms of tourism, though obviously it is a tourism marketing tool. That potential means actually setting genuine goals for our entire community, goals that we can be proud of, and goals that actually work towards genuine sustainability and not just pay lip service to that term.
Okay, thank you. The next question is to Peter McGregor and Frank Wilkie, so you're not last again, Frank. And the question is, how would you enable live music to happen for those who want it without inconveniencing those who do not want it? Peter?
That's a tough one, but you know, I've been on this earth a little while, and I still remember the days at the old beer garden on a Sunday afternoon, and where everyone used to go out and enjoy themselves, have a few drinks, meet people, communicate with others, and listen to some damn good music. Now, I do appreciate and understand that there are some people there who just don't like that. They live pretty close, but they've got to be aware that most of the community out there love this stuff. They love to go there. They like to listen to music. The local businesses do a roaring trade. It's great for the surf club, and people meet and greet each other. They enjoy themselves. They have a bit of fun. The music is great. Let's lighten up a bit, you know. Let's lighten up a bit. It's only one afternoon, you know, every couple of weeks, and if we can't be part of the community, if we don't want to be part of what's going on, well, go away for the afternoon, or if you don't like it, pack up and leave.
Hello. Well, it will be very silent when we're dead. I see live music as a sign of life, and that we as a community are still alive and kicking. Down at the Pridgeon Beach Park, the Pridgeon Originals have battled complaints from a handful of residents, some of whom set up camp down there at 4:30 in the morning to make sure that the people setting up the markets don't come in too early. They can become obsessed with it. The benefit that free community concert gives to the community far outweighs the measurable noise that had been detected at the doorways of these people, well below the accepted decibel limits which have been set by the council. But no matter what you do, some people will die in their grave to fight against something that they don't want, and that's a fact of life, and you've got to admire their stubbornness. But in Hastings Street, there needs to be more communication with the accommodation houses that it is a live music precinct, and you can be more monitoring as well. There's ways of working it out with sitting down with the stakeholders face to face.
Okay, the next question is to Joe Jurisovic and Mike Barry. What initiatives would you propose to reduce traffic congestion and resolve parking issues in Noosa? And as a rider, what do you think about those big buses? Joe?
I'd like to see the end of the big buses. I'd like to see us go back to the small buses that we had before. It's a transit centre, a real transit centre that's at the hub of Noosa, in the centre of Noosa, so the buses can operate from there, where those large buses that are due to come into our region stop and go no further, and then shuttle services operate within. That'll save a lot of money on roads. That'll keep the roads from having to be maintained. It'll stop the roundabouts being an issue for those for access for those large carriage buses. Sorry, first question again, Mike. Sorry.
Well, just some comments on how would you propose to reduce
congestion. More park and ride centres, more opportunities for transit services around the region. Of all the transport systems in this country, the one that I admire the most is Perth. Perth has got the most functional transport system in Australia, without a doubt. That rail system and that bus linkage and that free cab service in the city is something we should aspire to.
Thank you. Mike Barry, your comments, please.
Yes, one of my ideas would be to have that smaller bus services. I look at the buses that wander around Noosa now, and there's 2 people on these huge buses. I think there's something wrong with the Transport Department or whoever runs them. The other alternative, which I do believe should be done down the track once Noosa becomes very financial, is to build an off-street parking, probably of 2 stories, somewhere where we could be able to get people to have their private cars into Noosa. Because, let's face it, we are a society of cars, not of buses. Thanks.
I think that possibly it should stay where it is for the first term until a new council can get the finances in order. I think it's very important that this levy is retained. The past has shown that environmentally significant land can be purchased with this, as you can see when you drive around Noosa or walk around Noosa. And Noosa is all about the environment, and if we're not proactive in securing land that could otherwise be used for purposes that is against the principles, then we're not actually, I guess, doing what the majority of the residents in this town want.
Yeah, talk about environment. I was the bloke who brought the idea of the biosphere into Noosa Shire Council. I flew over this shire with one Stephen Poole, an environmental scientist. He also helped us deliver the biosphere. Back to the question. We purchased lots of land throughout the shire, Tarrangower, which protects the river up the top. We got a couple of $1 million off the federal government to purchase land out on Lake Kariba here that was under threat. So I'm big on environment and big on those levies. I made a statement in the paper, I know where this question's coming from, that maybe we use the environmental levy, which you can't because it's a levy, to help us with the cost of the amalgamation here. Should the bill be huge? Not knowing how, does anyone know how big it is? I don't, nobody does. So you couldn't really use the environmental levy, but what you could do is reduce it and put it on your general rate. Therefore, you wouldn't have to put the rates up at all. That's if the land that we, at present, we're not paying off with the levy. If we're paying off land and that levy needs to stay at that level, well, those options are off. But I reckon all options should be on the table with regards to finances and putting the council back together and its finances in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. Okay. Next to the last question, Jess Glasgow and Brian Hayes. You both support prioritising local contractors for council business. How would you make this work if they are not the lowest tenderer? Jess.
There's a good example right now in Hastings Street. Hutchinson's doing the Sea Haven project. One of the biggest projects I've seen going on in terms of refurbishment and so forth. Fair enough, this is a huge scale project and maybe some local style builders couldn't have competed with Hutchinson's prices, but we should have a council that wants to keep the money within the community, letting Noosa local business be competitive with these tenders. So why can't we work towards, if and if it means merging, doing JVs, joint ventures with other companies to make sure this money, because I know it's a Sydney or Melbourne buyer, this money stays within Noosa and it's not going to Sydney Hutchinson's. That's one option of creating local business within local business.
Thank you, Jess. Brian?
Just qualifying that question, was about the contractors for anything or?
For anything, yeah.
Anything. Well, I thought it would more be suited towards the chaps that do the cleaning along Gympie Terrace, for instance, parks and gardens, mowing, all that sort of stuff. The services that we saw degrade when we were forced into the amalgamation.
That's a good point about local contractors against southern chaps. I honestly don't see how they could compete. They've got to travel to come in to do those jobs, and I'd certainly be sceptical about someone coming in from an outside area having to travel and undercutting a local. It's not always how much it is, it's what you get for your buck. And I'd be very wary of I think you've got to be astute in providing those contracts, and it's not necessarily based on money.
Okay, the final question in this segment is to, hopefully this covers everybody now, Bob Abbott and Gary Javithick. Should there be more major events such as the triathlon and the food festival, and do you support them using public space? Bob?
Yeah, look, I'm a big supporter of events. I think they do some fabulous stuff for the community. What we've got to find out is how we do that without affecting a large percentage of the community. And I mean, you're always going to have this argument about the Tide. You know, I walked into a couple of businesses today and said, we're closed down all day on the Sunday. Yeah, I really don't know what you can do with that, but I think there's some real chance for some good music festivals, not necessarily in Hastings Street, but maybe out at Croy Showgrounds or something. I think there's a good opportunity to do more of the Jimbarada stuff on that, you know, cooking and lifestyle stuff. I think there's great opportunities to do I suppose, things that attract people into the community on more regulated grounds. I think using public roads does cause us a problem, but the try is the try, and it brings absolute millions into this town, and I really don't know whether you can make a difference. It really is, what is it? It's 4 or 5 hours on a Sunday morning in the Taunton end, and you know, so I think there's got to be a little bit of give and take on that stuff.
Thank you, Bob.
I think the festivals we have, the 4 major ones, are a major part of our society. They attract a lot of people, bring a lot of business in. We've got 4 major ones at the moment, and one of those, the Noosa Long Weekend, needs support. It is suffering, and we need to get behind it. So before we bring in new ones, we must make sure the current ones can survive. They are very important to us. I go to most of them. I like to compete in the Tri. I go to every other event, and I think if everyone gets behind them, we can actually make something of our community. I strongly support them, and if we can get more, after we make the current one successful, I'd be with that.
Well, that's the end of that segment, and thanks very much to everybody for those illuminating answers and for keeping to time so well. We now move to return of you out there. Just a few rules indeed for this sort of thing. As the purpose of this meeting is to help people decide how to vote, questioners must be on the Noosa electoral roll. We've got about 20 minutes for this segment. So if you could keep your questions short and to the point, please, with no rambling statements and certainly no verbal assaults on candidates. Please state your name and area of residence, for example, Sunrise Beach, and preferably, either nominate 2 candidates who you would like to nominate to do your question, to answer your question, unless you also have the alternative, you could ask for another show of hands if you've got something that you think everybody would like to go at. And finally, if we run out of time, remember you will have another chance to grill the candidates at the speed dating session after we've looked at the 2 mayoral candidates. Okay, so, lady in the green there.
I have a question. I'll put it to Vittori and the gentleman sitting next to him. That one. Alan. Okay. For me, nearly all of you in your pamphlets talk about creating jobs and bringing Noosa into the future. To me, one of the greatest blockages in doing that is the fact that everyone in this room pays Optus and Telstra and the nebulous, perhaps, NBN when it comes to our communications and data. None of us get those services that we pay for.
Can you keep your question short, please?
So, does the council think they can do anything about those issues?
Realistically, all we can do is we can lobby them, speak to their representatives, but we can't force them, I don't think, to do anything. I mean, they're private enterprises. So all we can do is lean on them, but I don't think we can do much more. As a group, as a community, if there's one particular firm that you feel you're not getting the right service for, then switch services to someone else. I mean, excuse me.
The bottom line is we are not in control of the NBN or any of the telcos who are providing us with services, but like you, I think we are all suffering speed, we're suffering when it comes to running our businesses. There are a lot of businesses in the hinterland which could be a lot more effective and a lot more successful if we were able to get good communications out there. But that doesn't mean that we should sit on our hands, and I think what we have to do is canvass where the community sits in terms of its communications issues, and then be prepared to take those issues up with the relevant authorities. It may be outside the council's responsibilities, it may be outside the council's capacity, but it shouldn't be something that's ignored, because it is absolutely essential to strong business futures.
A question for Brian Stockwell. I've had a few comments that people that asking that when we've said that you're standing, that you're involved with the Civic. Could you please clarify that?
I have to stand for this one. Do I look like an ex-Olympic swimmer? So no, Mark Stockwell is no relative. I have no links to any developers. I will not take donations from any developers. Okay? I have in the past, as President of the Noosa Residents and Ratepayers Association, written on behalf of the community to every single councillor opposing developments which he proposed which were excessive. I thought this one would go away, but I have heard it on the golf course from other people as well. So to clearly clarify and take the other 30 seconds I didn't know about CSG, Brian Stockwell, the name Stockwell was, all those things I talked about, was known for many years before Mark came to town. So to remind you about this, my campaign is carbon neutral. I'll be planting 100 trees in a conservation covenant on my children's grandparents' property. And tonight, if you come to me at speed dating, you can help me, because the future is us working together, and you can take one of these to plant as well to help offset my campaign. Thank you.
A question to Frank Pardon and Joe Derisovic. What role do you see for the new Noosa Council in supporting and fostering local community arts organisations like Wallace House, Noosa Long Weekend and Noosa Chorale?
Yeah, thanks for the question, mate. Look, I've been the biggest supporter of community events in the place. Talk about farmers market. I ran 2 concerts, the great Noosa Campouts, in 2 years in succession. To answer your question, mate, I'm right behind them. The main thing we've got to make sure when we're cutting and doing budgets, and there's a $100 million budget you're going through, don't cut them community grants too much, because they're just so important. In fact, Noel Playford up at Pomona, when answering a question from a fireman who was worried, a rural fireman who was worried about cuts, said we should increase them. Well, I'm with Noel on that one. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Someone that's been an advocate for our community organisations, I 100% support the volunteers of this community, and those volunteers are involved in organisations like the Noosa Arts Theatre, the Noosa Chorale, the sporting bodies that our children play in, and countless other organisations across our community. I don't believe the council can assist these organisations enough, and should support them 100% with everything that they try to achieve. The value for money that you're getting with all the money that goes towards community organisations is doubled and trebled because of the volunteers that are involved. There is so much money that is saved and achieved through these volunteer organisations that don't come out of council's pocket. Excuse me, out of council's pocket. It comes out of the love, the heart, and the respect of the volunteers that man these organisations.
Greg Redaway is my name, from Taunton. Mr Stockwell, given you ran for the seat of Noosa for the State Labor Party just after amalgamation, can we assume you support the policy for council amalgamations? Given the huge disloyalty you showed the people of Noosa, how could you expect the voters of Noosa to elect you to a council where you A, bring the Labor Party policy to
You just keep this to a short question, please, not a statement.
Nearly finished. Bring the Labor Party policy to abolish small councils into council, and B, the Labor Party into the Noosa Council chambers as their representative and pollute the new Noosa Council with Labor politics.
Thanks, Greg. I was hoping you're here tonight. I've stood for two parties for Noosa to push what I think is important. One of those was the Labor and one was Australian Democrats. I am not a member of a political party anymore. I am vehemently opposed to party politics in local government, and I have never supported amalgamation. All of us have been members of large groups where you didn't agree with everything that went on. I was at Parliament House at the end of the protest with others to oppose amalgamation. I did lobby and suggest alternatives within. But the important thing is that what people in Noosa know is that what drives me to be a political representative is the reason we're here and fighting to protect it into the future. In council there is no party politics, and it won't be. And I will not represent anyone but the people who share my view about a sustainable future for Noosa.
My question is addressed to Gary Trevithick and Bob Abbott. My guess, my name's Paul McDonald from Noosaville. It's purely a guess, but I think financially we'll be in quite a different position, a much worse position in a few months' time when you know the results of the amalgamation. Exactly what sort of financial controls and emergency controls, if necessary, will the council be able to take during this financial crisis?
Exactly what sort of financial controls are all inherent in the council budgeting process. I think the issue that you're looking for is what are the, and I'm only guessing here, but there are significant issues with regards to how we pay for things. There are opportunities within any budget to actually pay cash for stuff, or to borrow money for stuff, or get it from another way within the local government budget. But the real issue that I think you're trying to raise here is, what do we need to do to make sure that you guys as ratepayers don't cop it in the throat? So we will use, I would imagine, all of the mechanisms that are available to us to keep the level of rates increased to an absolute minimum. Sometimes you can borrow to extend the thing out in the future. I don't really know what the actual figures are going to be, so it's hard to say. But there are an extensive number of mechanisms in a normal local government budget that one can use to manage that process.
Thank you, Bob.
One of the first things we've got to do is find out exactly what we're going to be given. All the assets and liabilities that exist on 31 December will come over to us on 1st of January. There's going to be an enormous amount of work required to understand what they are. Having understood it, then we need to go through and plan how we're going to cover it. There are a huge number of capital works programs that have not been undertaken by the current council. Munna Point Bridge is but one of them. It's going to cost a minimum of $6 million to fix the concrete piers there, which need to be repaired sooner rather than later. So we've got to go through and identify all of those issues. Then the tricky part is to make sure that we give priority to all communities. Just because you live in a small town doesn't mean your priority should be any lesser. So it's going to involve an enormous amount of work. Now, we don't have a lot of time. The Minister is expecting us to deliver the first budget by 31 January. No sooner will that be done, then we've got to plan for the next one, which has got to be 30th of June. So I can't give you an answer to that, other than that I will carefully go through every item and allocate the priorities necessary to give you what you need.
My question is to Tony Wellington and Frank Wilkie. If we're going to create employment in Noosa, where are they going to live? Because if we've got a population cap of 50,000, and there's already 48 here, so that's only going to be 2,000 people that's going to be allowed to come in here to work. And then they can't have kids. So how are you going to combat that?
Over to you. First control.
If I understand the question correctly, it's where are the people who are going to be working live if we have a population cap? Is that correct, sir? Yeah. Well, that's true. A lot of them already live here. Yeah. There's. Are you talking about affordable housing? There are young people living here already who are working in the Noosa Shire. So you're saying new jobs are created. 49% of jobs several years back were home-based businesses. So people are working from their homes. If you're talking about affordable housing, you're not talking about affordable housing? You're talking about the population cap. People are moving in and out of the Shire all the time. There's a misnomer there's a myth that there's a gate at the Noosa Shire borders and people cannot come and go as they please. People are selling up, moving away, coming here, people are passing on. I don't think it's a problem at all. Population cap.
This sounds a little bit like the old populate or perish argument. You can't have continual population growth exponentially into the future. Fundamentally, the environment won't withstand it. When you talk about a population cap, those words don't actually appear anywhere in the Noosa planning scheme, nor have they ever. Every planning scheme is in itself a population cap because all planning schemes determine what is desired in terms of maximum population for that local government area. The population cap, as it's so known in Noosa, is about preserving the lifestyle that we all enjoy. Now, in terms of employment, what we want, obviously, is near to as possible full employment for the area, but we don't need exponential growth of employment. What we need is a viable economy that supports the people that already live in the area.
Zoning in the Noosa plan results in about a so-called population cap of about 62,000. So over there. Jeff?
Thank you. A question to Frank Pardon and Tony Wellington. Would you support the Noosa Biosphere Association taking over the responsibilities of the Noosa Biosphere Limited?
Yeah, happy to answer that. No, absolutely not. The Biosphere Proprietary Limited is a company, of course, but it's owned by all the people, and it'll transfer to the Noosa Council, the new Noosa Council, from the Sunshine Coast Regional Council. But nobody or association or individual group should ever take over that. The Biosphere, when we went through that process, that's for all the people in Noosa, all of us that live here. It established our borders forever, and that was another reason for doing the Biosphere. So if ever we had the opportunity to be de-amalgamated, there was our borders, the Biosphere. So no, absolutely not. It's for all the people. The people own it. And to suggest that a council is not part of the people, I mean, you elect us. It's just ludicrous. So absolutely not.
Look, there's a dreadful myth being perpetrated here, and that is that the Noosa Biosphere Association wants to take over the biosphere. It's a load of nonsense. The Noosa Biosphere Association has made it very clear that as soon as Noosa gets its council back and the biosphere is handed back to the people, it will cease to exist, and it does not want to participate in the governance process. Let me point out to you folks that the original proposal that went to UNESCO suggested that the biosphere be governed by the people through a incorporated association. Frank Pardon and his council came up with a death knell plan at the end of the Noosa Council for it to be owned by a limited liability company wholly owned by the Sunshine Coast Regional Council. Frank said that it should be owned by all people. I agree, but having it fully owned by the council is not having it owned by all people. My ideal is that the people embrace it, and I certainly don't believe that the Noosa Biosphere Association has any role to play in that.
Hi, question for Peter and a question for Frank. What will you do to monitor the sound if we encourage more entertainment? There's some beautiful restaurants going up at the moment and they supply nice music to be finalised at 10 o'clock in an evening on a Friday. Frank and Peter.
There's
Frank Wilkie, sorry.
Yeah, there's the state licensing commission, I understand it, sets the sound levels for these venues, and the sound levels are monitored so that there is no noise disturbing residents. There are sound levels set.
I understand with residents, but it's in Hastings Street, there's hardly any residents apart from tourists. Do we encourage the tourists to join in on entertainment, or?
What's wrong with the sing-along? I'm sorry, I'm not understanding.
It just seems to think at 10 o'clock in an evening there's nothing to do in Hastings Street.
I just mean
No, they're monitoring the music because the restaurants can't have the music playing after 10 o'clock.
We're going to have to wind this up soon because our session's just about over. So.
As long as the music's within the limits, that's fine.
I think I'll take one final question. That lady in the middle's been trying for some time.
Hi, my name's Lynette. I'm from Sunshine Beach. And I just want to ask the two women of the, hopefully you get elected, just any particular plans and schemes you've got for women in the community. I find myself as a resident ageing. I don't know the support I will get later. But it's more about jobs for women. I've got excellent qualifications and I've often found it hard as I've become mature to stay employed. So if either of you ladies can just say some of the schemes and some of the ideas that you may have for women in the community in the future.
The untapped potential in not only females but males in terms of, I work with about 60 volunteers. What they bring in terms of skills from the southern counterparts when they move here and retire is invaluable. This is an issue that we have been facing for quite some time in terms of people moving up here. They aren't ready for retirement, but they actually struggle to find employment within fields that they enjoyed in the south. Currently, the types of programs that are really invaluable, there is mentoring programs where we constantly within the community, we need assistance across a broad range of areas, including business, our youth, and also those organisations which I have access to 40 of them that please, if you ever have any time, I would absolutely adore for you to give your name to me because we have so many across the board that need people exactly like you, men and women.
I too come across a lot of volunteers in the community who move to the area. They have the expertise that they can provide to community groups. I think it's already been said tonight that it's difficult for a council or councillors to say that they will make jobs. It's all about providing a good environment where jobs can be fostered, where small business, and I believe that's the key. If we all look after our small business, money stays in the community, regardless of whether you're female or male, it gives you a better chance of employment. We've also got a lot of people who have moved to the area who can provide innovative new ideas to businesses that are already here, but they can be done in a better way. So I don't think it is a job of the councillors, but it is a job for the councillors to provide that community support and to engage with the community in better ways.
I'll draw this candidate session to a close now. I'd like to thank all the candidates for their participation and thank you all for those excellent questions. The next session will be chaired by Rosanna Natoli from Channel 7, covering the two candidates for Mayor. There will now be a 5-minute break, but I've been asked to say that please don't leave the room unless your needs are really desperate. Thank you very much.